never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer, fine.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. It is exactly 1 week away from Halloween because Halloween's on a Tuesday this year. And today, here on the channel, I want to talk about the latest college football AP poll that came out Sunday afternoon. And this might be the last major AP poll. Honestly, I have not looked at when the first college football playoff poll comes out because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that Clemson's not going to be ranked, which they shouldn't be. But since they're not going to be, I'm not worried about the playoff poll because my team is not involved in it. But it usually comes out the week of Halloween, and Halloween is next Tuesday, so my guess is it comes out 1 week from tonight. And if it does, this will be the last significant AP poll. It's still there. People still look at it, but once the playoff poll comes out, that's the be-all, end-all. But to me, the AP poll should not come out until after about the first at least 2, if not 3 weeks of the season. Before then, it's irrelevant. Well, I feel like the first week or two of the playoff poll is irrelevant. I know why they do it, because it comes out the week that Alabama plays LSU. So it comes out that week so that whichever team wins that game can get a huge jump in the rankings because we know that both teams are going to be ranked in the top 15. So whichever one wins, they'll go from 8 or 9 up to 2 or 3 or 15 up to 8. So that's why it comes out the week of Halloween, because the first Saturday in November is always Alabama and LSU. Now, a lot of times when I put out the AP poll conversation, I'll also give you my current top 10. I'm not going to do that today because if you follow along with the comments on the channel, and if you don't, you should. I enjoy reading the comments and I enjoy responding, but my man Eric, the Tennessee fan, not Eric the Georgia fan, but Eric the Tennessee fan, commented, I think it was last Friday, if memory serves, that I should give a top 10 countdown on my current top 10 teams, and I will do that tomorrow. So today, I'll strictly talk about the college football AP poll, and tomorrow will be the BT poll, as I like to call it. The number 1 team in America is Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, and Washington round out the top 5, followed by Oklahoma, Texas, Oregon, Alabama, and Penn State. And 11 through 15 is Oregon State, Ole Miss, Utah, Notre Dame, and LSU. Then we have Missouri, North Carolina, Louisville, Air Force, and Duke. Rounding out the top 20 and 21 through 25 is Tennessee, Tulane, UCLA, USC, and James Madison. And speaking of my man Eric, the Tennessee fan, he also commented that he thought that I was correct in talking about James Madison, how it just makes absolutely no sense how the NCAA pretty much goes to them and tells them, hey, y'all are dominating FCS level, plus your school's just getting too big, so we're making y'all move up to the FBS level. And by the way, when you do it, you can't go to a bowl game. That makes no sense at all. You're making them move and then punishing them because they moved. But at the same time, that does suck. But I also feel bad for the NCAA because, people make fun of them all the time by saying they don't do their jobs. And a lot of times, a lot of situations, in some circumstances, they don't. But then when they do, they get backlash for making a ruling. So it seems like, whatever they do, it's wrong. If you, are a long-time college football fan, you know that, a couple decades ago, Penn State got in all sorts of trouble. They even pretty much got the death penalty in college football, and it was mainly stuff that happened, back in the 70s and 80s, and they just never got punished for it. So the NCAA stepped in and, gave them huge penalties, and pretty much, for the most part, almost gave them the death penalty. And then instantly it was like, well, no, y'all can't do that. That's not fair because y'all are punishing coaches and punishing players that had nothing to do with what happened 30 years ago. So before long, Penn State goes from getting a huge penalty to basically getting nothing. And then, here recently, in the world of college football, North Carolina has a wide receiver that is from the state of North Carolina, but he played somewhere else. Well, now he's transferring back home to North Carolina to be closer to family. Well, the NCAA stepped in and said, you can't transfer back. You've got to sit out. So he missed the first, I want to say, 5 or 6 games of the season. Well, then they took the NCAA to court. It got overturned, and now he's back. So we fuss when the NCAA does nothing, but then when they do something, we fuss to get it overturned. So I don't know what they're supposed to do. The player is back now, and the only reason why they said he couldn't play was because there's supposed to be a rule that says you can only transfer one time while you're still enrolled at school. Now, after you graduate, you can be like JT Daniels and play for 95 programs in 10 years. But while you're enrolled in school, you're supposed to only be able to transfer one time. After that, you've got to sit out. Well, he's already transferred one time from North Carolina, and he was trying to transfer back to North Carolina. So they said, well, you're breaking the rules, so you can't play. So they were taken to court. It got overturned. He's back now. So I feel bad for the NCAA because it just seems like no matter what they do, they're wrong. When they do nothing, well, they're dumb because what are they doing? They're not doing their job. Punish somebody. And then when they punish somebody, it's, well, why are you punishing them? So I don't really know what they are legitimately supposed to do. I understood why Penn State originally got that huge penalty. I understood why the receiver at North Carolina couldn't play. I understood his reasoning for transferring back to North Carolina, but I also know that rules are rules. But you know how we are as people. We love to break rules. If the speed limit says 55, most cops will allow you 5 miles an hour over. So most people, instead of being satisfied with 60, they're going to try 63. And then they get pulled over, and it's like, what am I getting pulled over for? Well, you blatantly broke the law. It's there. But if the speed limit's 65, we'll go 75. If it's 25, we'll go 35. That's just the way we are. If you go somewhere and you're told don't park in this area, most people are going to park in that area because they're told not to. If you go in a building and you go somewhere, I know a lot of people like this. If you're walking down a hall somewhere, whether it's a shopping center, grocery store, whatever, and there's something on the wall and it says do not touch, most people are going to reach out and they're going to touch it just because the sign says don't touch it. That's just how people are. Same way with rules. So the NCAA puts these laws down and rules down, and people break them. But if you don't have rules, then you can't punish people for breaking rules that they're not breaking. But then they break the rules and you punish them, and then they cry about it and it gets overturned. So it's one of those things where it's darned if you do, darned if you don't. Any thoughts on this, please feel free to let me know. But as I said, this was just the college football AP poll. Tomorrow in my weekly Wednesday top 10 countdown, I will give you my current top 10, and since it is its own video and not part of the AP top 25, I will try to go in depth a little bit as to why I'm ranking each team, where I'm ranking them. Now, it's not going to be no hour-long video. That's too long. That's pointless. But I will try to give a simple, basic explanation as to why I'm ranking each team where I am. So stay tuned for that. Tomorrow, Homes for Our Troops is a publicly funded 501c nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans. Since the 2004 inception, nearly 90 cents of every dollar spent has gone directly to our program services for veterans. Visit at hfotusa.org. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. Imagine if Americans switched from pounds to kilograms overnight. There would be mass confusion. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.